So here, these shlokas were about how one who is jnana vijnana triptatma, the one who has knowledge and the realization of that paroksha and that aparokṣa-jñāna. So for that person, a vision of such a person, he looks at everything with an equal a sense of equal vision, an impartial vision, we can say, but also more importantly, that highest reality he sees equally in everyone. That one reality he sees in everyone. And so in that sense, there is nobody who he considers is higher from that perspective. From the Vyavahara we discussed, there can be still a difference. Do I perceive the one divine essence in everything, or do I view things and people solely through the lens of my mental inclinations and past experiences? So this is our normal perspective in the worldly transactions. We do have a certain past experience and things which informs our worldly decisions. But while doing that, we have to reiterate every now and then that divine essence is equally in everyone. To what extent do my memories influence and color my interactions with others? What benefits lie in adopting a fresh perspective towards every experience in my life? So this is one very good quality, to start every day freshly and to look at every experience as a new experience. Then, our own internal resistance or our too much craving to certain things, that will reduce. So to try to face everything with that fresh perspective, putting aside our past experiences to inform us. What obstacles prevent me from putting that first perspective into action? So we all have to look at it ourselves to see what is it that doesn't allow me to do this. Why do I get carried away? So of course, at a transactional level, sometimes we do need that wisdom experience which we have gained in doing our worldly transactions. But our ultimate vision is not just the worldly life, right? We are looking at a reality which is beyond this world. And in that, we should have that pure vision. So this is the ultimately the whole goal of all the Shastras, especially the Vedanta Shastras, is to purify our vision to the ultimate perfection, the highest perfection. Okay, all right. So chapter 6, the teachings began explaining about the one who is ascending to yoga called as Aruruksha, and the one who has already ascended to yoga, the one who has already practiced yoga and has ascended to that Aruruda. So such a person is like an enlightened being. He is like a sthita-prajna. He has this, what we were discussing, has an equal vision, and he is untouched by uh, things. And he has not just like the scriptural textbook knowledge. He has it in his own life. And in order to do that for others, he's a model. So how do others work towards it? Then that shloka was mentioned, Uddaret Atmana Atmanam. You lift yourself by yourself. Meaning the higher mind, the higher purpose, the higher reality should be the uplifting factor in our life. And Natmanam avasadayet. We should not pull ourselves down. So this is where, no matter how hopeless life seems or how hopeless our ability to reform ourselves seems, we should not give up because that highest potential is right within us. So natmanam avasadayet. We should not pull ourselves thinking, oh, this will not happen. Of course, some things like worldly pursuits, we have to be practical. If as I like to say, at the age of 50, if you want to become like a Grand Slam champion or something, then that is not a goal that is maybe possible. And here we are talking from that level of our spiritual reality. That spiritual reality is possible any moment of life. So that is how the Shastras are telling us. The moment you get jnana, you are completely free. And it seems like the darkness was not there, even if the darkness was there in a cave for thousands of years. When the light comes, the darkness goes away. So this is that spiritual potential of uplifting ourselves. Right? When that happens, it happens instantaneously. Can seem like we have been working, laboring for endless years and endless eons. Okay, so now from after this, he talked a little bit about controlling the senses and how such a person who has certain control is now ready for what? Now he begins that thing about meditation. So we might wonder, why is it that in the chapter entitled as meditation, we should have had from the first sloka only, like if you pick up like a meditation course or a manual. So first they start off and tell you what is meditation, or they will explain to you how you should go about, how should you sit, or some basics should have been there. But he didn't begin like that. Why is he kind of not getting to the point? Why is he taking so many shlokas? So here, in order to qualify meditation, to put that meditation in perspective, we discussed this. Meditation is the antaraṅga sadhana. So antaraṅga sadhana in context to what? Huh? See, when we say something is an internal sadhana, or an internal instruments based sadhana, in context to what is it internal? Anybody think about it?
Bahir-aṅga sadhana.
Oh, I didn't hear you say again.
Bahir-aṅga sadhana.
Bahir-aṅga sadhana. But that is true. But what is the when we say bahir-aṅga, what are we referring to as bahir-aṅga? In context to that, this becomes internal, right? So what is that external thing?
External of the body, external of the mind, outside of the mind, inside of the mind, working in the mind internally, antaraṅga, and outside every activity out with the body, in the world, in space.
Good. Now, that is correct from the context of the question I asked. So now, if you think of it this way, we mentioned which sadhana was bahir-aṅga sadhana?
Bahir-aṅga sadhana, asana, pranayama, yama, niyama.
No, we discussed something else as a bahir-aṅga sadhana.
Karma yoga.
Karma yoga. Discuss karma yoga, because karma yoga brought us, the topic of karma yoga has now brought us to this one. So actually here you see, when you say, that is correct what you are saying, bahir-aṅga means using external instruments and being the body and other things focused outwardly. So karma yoga becomes in bahir-aṅga sadhana because karma yoga is doing activities in the world, right? So we are engaged in doing activities, and in those activities, not expecting results becomes a sadhana. So this involves I work, do my life activities without walking away and going into sitting in solitude and meditation and all that. So that also became a sadhana. Now, what we both of this we discussed also, both of these are driving towards citta-śuddhi, purification of internal organs. So bahir-aṅga sadhana we say, but yet the effect of bahir-aṅga sadhana is on the antakarana, on the inner instruments. Antaraṅga sadhana we are saying because you're directly working with the mind here in meditation. And this also is for antakarana shuddhi. So from the context of Gita, whether you're doing bahir-aṅga sadhana or antaraṅga sadhana, it is only a matter of subtle difference in its effects. From the point of effects, both are equally valid. So in order to put this in context now, both, even the dhyana now, as we are going further, we should have the vision. So dhyana will also become a bahir-aṅga sadhana in context of something else. What could it become a bahir-aṅga? So dhyana yoga, the yoga of meditation, is seemingly an internal sadhana because we are working directly with the mind. But in context of something else, it will become a bahir-aṅga sadhana. What could that be? Huh?
Dhyana, Vijnana, Dhyana, Vijnana.
Jnana Vijnana. So mostly the Jnana Vijnana we can say from that perspective of why? Because from the perspective of Jnana, that knowledge, then that knowledge is possible when that antaraṅga-śuddhi is there, meaning the abiding in that knowledge, especially Vijnana, is possible when antaraṅga-śuddhi is there. So even working at the level of antaraṅga-śuddhi is a external thing from the perspective of somebody who is already reached that stage and just wants to jnana for abiding in that truth. Somebody has already realized and he just wants to abide in that, and that is that last stage of this practice. So for such a person, even dhyana becomes a external sadhana. Okay, so to put this in perspective, it was given, all this was given. So that is why he was talking of a jnani purusha, a person who is already established in that, who is already having that equal vision. So for that person, dhyana was not recommended, well, meaning it was not necessary, because he just has to meditate on what? He has to meditate only on that Atma, that knowledge he already has. So the meditation practice for him is not the meditation practice for a normal person. So that we will call it as nididhyāsana. For a jnani who has already kind of more or less got it, he just has to do nididhyāsana or maybe some degree of manana, we can say. But he doesn't have to do dhyana as he's going to start teaching now. So now for a person who has all this, it's like the pond. He tries to go to karma yoga or anything. He does karma yoga like we say, right? Somebody wants to come and do seva. There was a student. He went to an acharya and he said, what seva can I do? Because I want to come attend your classes and all that. So that teacher said, okay, you come in the morning before the class starts and you put on the light and you, turn on the, whatever, open the windows, put on the light. So that is your seva. So that person said, okay, I'm doing that. Then after a few weeks, he came and told that, Raj, I'm already doing seva, so but still I want to do some seva that is more helpful for you. What can I do? So then he gave him some other more personal tasks. Okay, you come, you bring my books when I come to the class, and then you, after my class, you pass these notes to students or you write about it. So something anyway. So like some many of you are doing also something, right? So some seva like that said. So then that person again came back and said, you kept saying that doing seva, I will become citta-śuddhi and get jnana. But I'm not still getting that. What is lacking is doing. So then he said, you try to contemplate yourself and then you do seva with the proper attitude. So karma yoga is also like that, right? We are doing karma yoga. So seva is the culmination of karma yoga. Proper seva is a culmination. So why am I giving this example is then to end the story, after a few weeks, that student came back to that thing. And he told this Acharya Maharaj, so whatever seva has to be done is being done. What can I do? I mean, how can I now abide in that text, in that truth? Meaning he was no longer focused on saying that he's doing seva. And he's just saying that, okay, now how can I abide in that jnana nishta? So here what happens, this is, say, way to convey what is our path. When we come on the path, that initially we are told like that, you do karma yoga, you do work in the world, you don't expect results, but still that vikshepas are there. You do some karma yoga, you will say, I need some pala, I will need some attention, I've done this, I've done that. So the doership is not gone completely, or that sense of bhoktrutva is not gone completely. So such a person, even if he's doing karma yoga, that purification has not happened. So now he's saying, I want to abide in that jnana. The jnana is not happening. So at this point now, the Acharya has, in this example I told you, the Acharya said, you contemplate what you're not doing properly. So in order to do that, now the meditation is this process where that mala, that impurities which are still within us, which doesn't allow us to do karma yoga without a sense of attachment, without a sense of doership. That needs to be somehow processed, or that needs to be nullified. So in order to now nullify that, you have to directly deal with the mind, meaning you look at the mind, you become aware of that mind, the citta-vritti as they keep arising. And as you become aware, you work with that kleshas and dissolve that kleshas until you are now able to abide in that truth, that Atma Tattva, the Paramatma Tattva. So for that person now, that processes will start now. What is this process? Let us look at the shlokas. Okay, so here the basics of meditation will start here. Let us first chant the shlokas. Shloka number 10. Yogi yunjita satatam
Yogi yunjita satatam
Atmanam rahasi sthitah
Atmanam
Sthitah
Ekakiyata chittatma
Ekakiyata chittatma
Nirashira parigraha
Nirashira parigraha
Shuchau deshe pratishthapya
Suchau deshe pratishthapya
Hiramasanamaatmanah
Viramasanaha
Natyuchritam natinīcham
Natyuchritam
Shailajinakushottaram
Shailajinakushottaram
Tatraikagram manakritva
Tatraikagram
Kritva
Yata chittendriyakriyah
Yatachitindriyaha
Upavishyasane yunjyat
Upavishyane yunjyat
Yogamatma vishuddhaye
Yogamatma
Samam kaya shariro Samam kaya shiro grivam let me say okay let us try again Samam kaya shiro grivam
Samam shiro divam
Dharayanna chalan stiraha
Dharayanna stiraha
Samprekshya nasikagram swam Dishaschalana Valokayan Prashantatma Vigathabhir Brahmachari Vrate Stitaha
Brahmacharya sthitah
Manasayamya macchitto
manasayamyamachitto
yukta asita matparaha.
yukta asita matparaha.
So now let us look at this shloka. So the one of the first one, he introduces meditation. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasistitaha. So in order to meditate, in order to focus on what he should do, rahasistitaha, he should find a place. He should find a place where there is solitude, or we can say a quiet place. Rahasi means like a secret place, we say, but it can, as Shankaracharya mentions, means a quiet place. So where somewhere you have to find either he will now mention like you have to look at place and all that, but if you can't in your own house, wherever you can, you should find some quiet place or a time which is quiet when people are sleeping or not many people are around. That some time, yogi. So the mind has to be focused. It's so that it is easier if the mind for the mind to be focused. Satatam atmanam. So what is he going to focus on? He's going to meditate on that self, meaning he's going to. The idea is that, right? Ultimately, that is leading us to the contemplation on that supreme truth, on that self. So he will fix his mind on that self in that solitude or in that quiet place, staying in that quiet place. Then he mentions ekaki. Ekaki means something which is done without anybody else, meaning you are doing it with yourself. I mean, you're sitting by yourself. It's not like, you go out, you are together, you're going to go meditate with 3-4 people. Or, of course, there is those practices where you do group meditations or meditate with others, but really each one is meditating on their own. So asahayaha, it is said by the Bhashya, meaning you are not, this is done by yourself, not through the help of somebody else, or somebody else is not going, like in asanas, if you're doing, maybe somebody can help you in the pose, straighten your pose, help you make it hold, give you strength. Here you have to do it yourself. Of course, you can get instructions and all that, but the actual doing is yourself. And he goes on to say, nirashihi aparigraha. So he has to be a nirashir. If you are internally, there is a lot of currents of pulling you. If internally there is a lot of, if outward environment is also quiet, but internally there's a lot of things. You want to do this, you want to do that, you want to go watch some TV or you want to go somewhere, then that meditation period also becomes very restless. So that is why, sometimes we say the sankalpa, right? And sometime ago, somebody asked, so why are we taking sankalpa when many times it is mentioned that, we have to be sarva sankalpa parityagaha. So sankalpa here is that for that meditation period, I want to sit in this, or I want to do my japa, or I want to continue this practice. So these are uplifting us in the direction we want to go when the mind is not ready to do that. So if you don't, what is happening? The mind itself has a lot of sankalpas, and you're going to go driven by that sankalpas. So in order to get to that place of no sankalpa, you first superimpose on yourself these good sankalpas consciously. Those other sankalpas are coming on unconsciously from that underlying ocean of samskara, that unconsciously many sankalpas are arising. So here you take a conscious, so nirashihi. So in order to be free from these sankalpas, you first start with this thing. I will sit for this meditation period. I will not think of anything. I will not get lost. Aparigraha. So these are qualities of a sannyasi according to Shankaracharya. He says these are what a sannyasi should be striving for. But The idea is that for that period of meditation which we are sitting, all of us are like that sannyasi only. We are trying to um, separate from everything, stay on our own, because we are seeking the highest welfare, right? Okay, now he goes on to the next shloka. He's going to explain again what else should be done. Shucho deshe pratisthapya. Shucho means a clean place. Ideally, wherever you sit, it should be a clean place, because if the outer environment is clean, then there is that sense of sattvic in your inner environment. Cleanliness is one of the practice even in our uh, yama niyama also it comes, right? So being shuddha, clean, and especially the we think it's sometimes only the internal cleanliness, but external cleanliness also is a very important aspect, because if the place is clean, then you are more likely to mentally be able to have sit without being too much disturbed. Deshe, pratisthapya, sthiramasana. You should sit in sthirasana. So, uh, in the sthira sukhamasana, it comes in Patanjali Yoga, meaning the should be sthira, but it should also be comfortable. It should not be too tight. Asana should be too tight. It shouldn't be too tight, nor it is too comfortable also. So it should be a good balance. Asanam atmanaha na atyuchitam, meaning the it should not be too high, na ati nicham. So like when you go to some place, if you are, if wherever you're sitting, if that place you're sitting is little too high, you feel a little unstable after a while. So don't need to induce that. And sometimes, like when sadhakas, we go look for caves where sometimes it's lower. huh? I saw even in Western countries, people make this cellars, underground place, and for study, quiet things, and all that. So it's okay, but generally, from the Gita perspective here, he's saying more also that sometimes when you go to this one, there is more like dampness. There is more. The body will not be that comfortable for the meditation. So, uh, finding that right balance. If you are going too much underneath the ground and all that, then the sense of balance, lack of oxygen, all that is also there. So, but yeah, finding that balance, if there sometimes it helps still if it is a quiet place and if there is enough oxygen, it isn't the dampness. But for many of us who go in the mountains and all in our, certain places we look for. So there, what happens is the places are not that well maintained, and then the dampness will start affecting your joints, your bones, and other things over time. And then he gives, what do you sit on? Chaila, Ajina, Kusha, Uttaram. So there is an order of how you should sit. Again, these are made from those times, where people used to find this. We don't have to take it literally, but the order he has given is first there should be grass, some kusha grass. Let's say you're sitting outdoor. So if there is a natural grass, then on that you traditionally people would put the deer skin. Deer skin was found, when deer and all would die, they would find that skin and they would use that. So that deer skin again, nowadays, of course, it is not ideal because that produces a certain industry where people are looking and selling that. So there, the earlier sages, they would find it naturally in the forest, right? So they didn't have to kill a deer to get that. So, but anyway, the idea is that to have a certain sense of separation from that ground vibration. There is that certain vibration coming from the ground, right? So you want to separate it through using something. So the skin, deer skin was mentioned, and on top of it, you put a cloth. So the cloth can be something like your asana. Nowadays, many ready-made cloths things comes like an asana cloth. So it's nice to have something. For most people in cities and all, just one of that is enough. Just having that as an asana. You don't need to necessarily go look for this. But this was how it was done. So this is one approach given. Now, what do you focus on? And this is a topic of a big discussion sometimes. So here in the Gita, it comes tatra ekagram manakritva. No, this one is okay, not yet that. Okay, that's the ekagram manakritva, meaning making the mind single pointed. Yata chittendriya kriyaha. The mind and the senses have to be controlled. Upavishya asane, sitting on that asanam, that person should practice this dhyana yoga or nididhyāsana. For what? Atma vishuddhaye, or we can say citta-śuddhi. What is this? Why is this practice? So he is confirming again that this practice itself is not going to give you moksha. Because what will give you moksha, what will give you that ultimate thing is that knowledge. Avidya is the thing, and you have to remove that avidya. So this is where, Bhagavad Gita is also not educating that just by meditation, moksha is ensured. Thus, by meditation, I see many times, people have this notion, partly also because we hear of stories of Buddha and many yogis, right? Who are going in meditation and suddenly they chance upon like liberation. So no, that jnana has already been attained. So they are meditating on that truth, that Atma jnana is what they are meditating on. So sometimes some acharyas here also will say that there is a pre-meditation and a post-meditation. Pre-meditation is before you get to quieten the mind, as he mentions, Atma Shuddhaya. And then there is a post-meditation after listening, after jnana, after getting these things. So that is the nididhyāsana, and later on he will come back to that also in this. Samam kaya shariro grivam. So the body, neck and head should be held still. I mean, still or at least in a line as much as possible. Because here we are trying to reduce the fluctuations of the mind. So it has to be still and erect as much as possible, but not too stiff also. Dharayan achalam stiraha. The focus of the eyes, that should be also fixed. What should be fixed on? Samprekshya nasikagram swam. So this is where, some people say that it should be focused on the tip of the nose, as it is said here. Some people say the tip of the nose is here where the nose starts. So we don't have to come too much into this because as Shankaracharya classifies, he says it is iva, meaning it is like as though you are focusing on the tip of the nose, or as though you are, you have to, otherwise what happens, see, both whether we focus at the point of the nose or at the point of the eyebrows, if you make too much effort to physically squint the eyes, you cannot sit and contemplate on anything because the mind is just focused on that. It is like, people who are doing asanas in certain postures and they're standing on one leg. What meditation can you do when you're like that, right? So of course, if you have practiced it for a long time, then it may be possible. But here, the point is not to strain the eyes, but as though you are looking up or looking down. Any one point, and we hold it still. And within this, there are many prakriyas. Some say you can keep holding down with the eyes half open, or holding up with that eyelids half open. So these are, as you keep doing, these things will naturally happen also. And different, meditation processes are there with that. So the Bhagwan's interest is not so much to go into teaching all those techniques. Here his thing is so that you can abide ultimately in the truth. So in order to do this, the basic fundamentals of meditation are these ones. And now he comes back to the internal attitude. So there's a very few shlokas where he talks about the processes and what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Uh, so that he lives for people based on each one's sadhana, each one's prakriya. They can figure all that out. But some of the elementary things are these. These are the things which allow you to contemplate on the truth. Okay, now the internal attitude. What should be the internal attitude? Prashantatma. Huh? So the idea is that the meditation here is done on that truth. So the mind has to already have that some sense of peace, some quietude. Huh? If it is too agitated, too restless, then either that is not the time or that habit has to be worked through using other methods first. Meaning you have to do some asana, pranayama, japa, or other practices so that the mind is at least somewhat quiet. Just directly to jump into it, it is not possible. Vigatabhir, how do you be free from, how do you be completely fearless? Even in meditation, sometimes, when we are doing meditation, many times the sadhakas will have certain experiences where they almost can get a sense of fear when that somewhat like the grip of the ego loosens. There is a sense of fear that comes right in that meditation because that ego is still trying to cling on and the mind is somewhat like dissolving into that self, right? So here dissolution is not the destruction of the ego, it is that abiding of that ego. So when that knowledge is not there, then that there is an instinctive fear that will come. Because that knowledge is not drida, then that experience is coming where that ego is trying to melt into that Saguna Brahma, that Ishvara Tattva, the cosmic mind. So that kind of experience induces a sense of fear. And slowly with the jnana, already that person is able to. So their jnana alone is the way. Jnana alone will help dissolve that fear which comes even to great Mahatmas at that time. And other fears also, worldly fears might be there. That, oh, if I sit now, some other internal fears might arise. Something else I was thinking of. Now that thought I have to face. So that is where meditation is an ability to look directly at all our fears, all our inner kleshas, our so-called unprocessed things, they start coming. And in that light of knowledge, we will be able to allow them to come and allow them also to go away. So this ability to just see things arising and not get identified with that. That is where the meditation here that he is talking about. And then brahmachari vrate sthitaha. So brahmachari vrate here is generally idea is brahmachari means like one who is like focused on this. He doesn't have too many other things he's trying to do in life. And he's trying to focus on abiding in this knowledge and then maybe yeah some way doing seva in the gurukul or to the guru or some way and not doing a lot of things. The vrata here is not just celibacy. The vrata here includes that ability to focus more on that. So all of us when we are meditating are trying to abide in this brahmachari vrata. We are all trying to stay even for 1 hour. You have to try and not just have the vow of celibacy, but you have to cut yourself off with only that what is provided, what is there in that environment. Initially, we try to improve the environment, but after a point, we let go. If you go somewhere and everywhere there will be some sound. Even if you go somewhere up in the mountains and you want to meditate near Ganga, after a while you'll feel, oh, this Ganga is making too much noise. Sometimes Ganga's waters also will increase. And this water, I'll go to the mountain away from Ganga somewhere. And there you go, some birds will come, and then the bird. So, to some extent, you can control the environment. To some extent, that brahmachari vrata, meaning that disconnection with the senses as much as possible. We disconnect. And also here, Bhagavan's idea is that you find a solitary place. Sometimes not always possible to find a solitary place, wherever you can, you can't go out looking. Wherever you can, you try to make within that possibilities. And the mana sanyamya machitto, the mind is focused, controlled, and machitta, meaning on that supreme truth, on me, on Bhagavan. That mind is focused on Bhagavan. So here mostly that Bhagavan has that Saguna Brahma, can also take that Nirguna, but the idea is you try to look in that mind or within yourself that supreme Paramatma, as he mentioned in that shloka before, that Paramatma Tattva within oneself, that supreme truth. So identifying that, or that mind can focus on that all pervading divine presence, that that one who is able to see Bhagavan as that supreme truth and in all circumstances. Then you go yukta asita matparaha. So such a person, he is seeking the supreme goal of life. There here Shankaracharya says that initially that person might have been seeking other goals of life when before he came here. But once you sit in that meditation, once you have certain knowledge, certain wisdom also, then you're not looking at the uh, like other worldly goals you want, nor initially that worldly goals could be okay through meditation. I will calm my senses. I will have focused mind. I will have some improvement mentally. Then slowly you realize that you need much more stable goal for the mind to stay still. So here, not just on any worldly things. The mind will easily fix on worldly things because it is seeing that. It this year you don't have direct insight, but as you go more and more, you start getting that indwelling presence of Bhagavan, and that supreme one, meaning not compromising on that truth or taking that Bhagavan as just like, as one image or one deity, that also is limiting Bhagavan. So initially we start like that, but slowly our idea should be that supreme Lord, which is beyond forms, beyond any visheshas, beyond any gunas. Okay. Um, Okay, so this much will take. So here again, these are the prakriyas for the meditation that he has given. Different meditation practices according to everybody's inclination and personalities are possible. They say that Buddha gave about 84,000 methods to suit people of 84,000 personalities type. So, so it is possible we can take what works for us, but these are some of the basics. Everything has to involve. And the main purpose here is that trying to find where our mind goes into dhyana, or what conditions are best suited for the mind to go into dhyana. Sometimes these environment helps. That is why, many rishis, munis, even there Shankaracharya says, people go looking for giris, like mountains. Here Himalayas is known for that. Many sadhus over many eons have meditated in these kind of areas. So they say that there is also a sudden vibration because so many yogis over so much years. So in that sense, this place is not just another mountain. So that is also another way reason why we look for places, and you will see that difference. Some people are a little sensitive to this. Some places have a higher vibratory range, which induces meditation much more easily. Especially places where there are some saints, people who are meditated, or some reasons they are there. So those are easier things. But yet, if you are not sensitive enough, meaning if the mind is not receptive enough, rather than sensitive, mind is not receptive, it is not prepared enough, you will not even feel that even in such environments. So even coming to such environments, like recently somebody had called me, an elderly lady, she wanted to come here, Shikesh, and spend some time and some place she had arranged and all that. She said, I'll come see you when I'm here and all that. So then she had called me and she mentioned that everything had been planned. I was almost about to go. But then my husband had to go out somewhere, and my son had to also go out somewhere. And I have to stay here and take care of something, some dog or something. So I can't go. So then I immediately said, you already found the place. You are there at your home. Nobody is there. That's an opportunity already, right? So it is not necessary like all the way to come here. Of course, if you can and get inspiration, but our mind should be looking for that opportunities wherever we find, whatever environment, wherever. That mind, if the internal conditions are right, it can go in easily anywhere. And preparing that internal conditions requires you practice wherever you can. And slowly you keep wherever practicing, whenever, to whatever extent. Then slowly, if you, when time allows or when opportunity comes, you can go to such places and spend time meditating, contemplating, studying. So this is the prakriya, and this is where a lot of retreats and all have also modeled themselves on. Many retreat places, everything model themselves on based on these approaches. Okay, so these are the pretty much only the external instructions we will get in Gita. Then now we'll focus mostly on internal things going from here. Okay, any questions, comments?
Swami, you spoke a lot about contemplation today, and I was hearing this word, and I was asking myself, for example, when someone has savichara or savitarka samadhi, is this could we say that this is also a contemplation, also when there is a seed, or just nivirtaka and nivichara?
So initially it is mentioned like that you start with savitarka, savichara and all that. So there also that object, we can say it is like being contemplated on in order to go to nirvitarka. So in order for those who are not familiar, that savitarka, savichara, sasmita, sa-ananda. These are the 4 meditation in Yoga Sutras, 4 samadhis. And then there is the nirvichara, nirvitarka, nirvichara. So nirvichara is considered a quite advanced practice. So to go to nirvichara, where you are without the support of an object, you need some degree of contemplation. Just by ekagrata, you will not be able to go there.
And I can use the words contemplation to savitarka and savichara. This is okay. It is a contemplation.
No, initially when you start with savitarka and savichara, there is not much contemplation. There is just ekagrata. But
okay.
Initially. So as you progress that savitarka and savichara, they, through contemplation, you see through them. Then just the idea is enough. Just the formless aspect is enough. So here also, like let's say I'm focusing on the Shiva or Shiva Linga. So just that idea of Shiva, the pointer of that. See, the pointer of Shiva Linga is to Shiva, for example. So similarly, a mind will have an internal linga, a pointer, that will point me to that. So that, how did that internal idea come? That is through contemplation. But initially, the focus has to be there. That is the savichara, savitarka. Anyway, that is going in other area of Gita is slightly different than the Yoga Sutras compared to that. Yeah, any other question? Okay. So many of the points given for Dhyana Yoga in this thing will be talked from that level of our antakarana-śuddhi only. Later part of that jnana will come as later part of that thing when he's going to talk about. He's going to talk about meditating on Om, for example, and other such things. Then at that point, the contemplation is taking us more and more to that Paramatma Tattva. But we have to understand that here in the whole yogas, in all the yoga prakriya, the Dhyana yoga prakriya is ultimately meant for helping us in the contemplation only. So after this, whatever will come about jnana, we have to automatically take it like that, that whatever jnana has been given, we have to contemplate on that. Using this, some of the prakriyas given here in Dhyana Yoga.
Swamiji, when you say when the jnana has been given, we're talking about jnana in relationship to vijnana. So the parokṣa-jñāna?
Aparokṣa-jñāna.
Aparokṣa or parokṣa?
So the meditation you do is on parokṣa.
Parokṣa.
So that you can get the aparokṣa-jñāna.
Okay.
So when you start off, you have only parokṣa-jñāna only. And that is enough. Like, for example, somebody tells me that there is this place called Gangotri. And it's a place, wonderful place and all that. So I have enough idea about it to set out towards that direction, to walk in that direction. So that initially that is parokṣa-jñāna. So we start meditation like that. We have enough knowledge and we meditate on that. Then as we travel on that meditation, we come to that ourselves. But however, here there is a subtle slight difference, because here it is not so much like a getting to somewhere that you haven't got. So it is more like here just revealing that, in revealing that truth, that revealing the true nature. So jnana is like that. Jnana's nature is just a revelation rather than a process. Meditation is a process where you are traveling to somewhere seemingly.
But is it that Dhyana, Dhyana,
Dhyana,
like a facilitation process in order to process that parokṣa-jñāna and prepare the way for aparokṣa-jñāna?
Yes.
So it's almost like an interior laboratory where this processing happens at a deeper level with our cooperation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So the meditation, dhyana, I'll just say meditation, the process of meditation here is so that jnana that you're getting, or that jnana you have got, can mature and become your own jnana.
Swamiji,
How
can we define or differentiate better between mananam, dhyana, and nididhyāsana?
So that is what I was saying, that firstly, dhyana is from the basic level, there is a dhyana before even seeking jnana, meaning actively seeking jnana. So there, that dhyana is like that knowledge you need to do that jnana is simple. Like, what are the meditation techniques? How much should I breathe? How much should I focus? So there, that is very simple. That jnana element there is not the jnana we are talking about here. That jnana is more like a technical jnana. So that is the first meditation process. Through citta-śuddhi, that person now is able to know the meditation method and he has knowledge. So then there is nididhyāsana. So for nididhyāsana, you need both this method or the skill, you can say, of meditation, Dhyana yoga, and the jnana. That becomes nididhyāsana. Now, manana is a process of jnana. When you are getting that jnana, you are contemplating on that jnana to process that jnana. So it is what you can say is done as a precursor to nididhyāsana, or along with nididhyāsana also you can do. So like now we are studying, whether I got it or not, how do I know? So I like this questionnaires we have, right? We use these questionnaires and we see, okay, what answers am I getting? What is it happening? So through that, I make that knowledge not only like my knowledge, but I also apply it in my life. What happens? How does this jnana function in my life? So through that kind of a maturity in that thinking in that direction, I'm now able to go deeper in nididhyāsana. So manana will also help, as what Sahaja was asking, in that process of making that parokṣa-jñāna, that which has come through the scriptures, your own aparokṣa-jñāna.
So it's a reasoning process.
It's slightly different from reasoning, partly because there is reasoning also in the Shastras for that. So manana, there is two kinds of manana. One is the Shastroktara manana, meaning there is a Shastra manana. Like I can use the text or any scripture, and you can compare it and with other text or other things, you can like now we can discuss it. Is this what it is saying? Somewhere else I read something, or you can nowadays we use science, right? The science says this, but this is saying that. So there, that is the reasoning. The real manana is more where you are personally applying it in your life, and you are personally revealing your shortcomings in abiding in that truth. What obstacles you have for this knowledge to manifest, or what, meaning we actually say what doubts you have. That doubts means not literal doubts. Sometimes it is literal doubts if you take the scriptural manana, but in the personal manana, it is that personal things which doesn't allow you to live this truth or absorb this truth or apply this truth. That is the true manana that happens. Okay, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Narayana.